Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Turkey Defense Minister outlines an offensive against a Kurdish enclave in Syria. A program for research cooperation to support the initiatives of the renewable energy in the Sultanate is signed. The activities of the 21st Winter Camp for Scouts are concluded in the Wilaya of Musana'a. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Turkey's defense minister said today that his country is determined to carry out a military offensive against an enclave in northwest Syria, saying Syrian Kurdish fighters there pose a real and ever-increasing threat to Turkey. Nurettin Canikli would not say when the operation would take place, saying authorities were working out the best timing for the assault. They were also working to minimize possible losses for Turkish troops, he said, without providing details. Ankara has recently been amassing troops and tanks on the Syrian border. Turkey considers the Syrian Kurdish militia as an extension of Kurdish rebels fighting Turkey and has vowed to attack their enclave of Afrin in northwest Syria. A Chinese official said the explosion and sinking of an Iranian oil tanker in the East China Sea was without precedent, creating enormous difficulties for rescue and recovery efforts. A Transport Ministry official today said the sinking of the vessel after a collision with a grain freighter was a first for a tanker carrying natural gas condensate. The Iranian oil tanker Sanchi sank last Sunday after burning for more than a week following a collision with a Hong Kong-registered tanker. All 32 members of its crew, 30 Iranians and 2 Bangladeshis, are believed to be dead. 3 bodies that were retrieved have been transferred to Iran and Bangladesh. The cause of the collision remains under investigation. Cleanup efforts were continuing, and China's State Oceanic Administration said it had detected an oil slick in the area that appeared to contain heavy bunker oil from the Sanchi's fuel tanks that could pose a serious threat to the marine environment. As a storm with high winds and snow swept across Western Europe and into Poland, treacherous conditions caused many accidents and left thousands of households without electricity. Storm Friederike was strongest in the south of the country. 2 people were slightly injured and dozens of buildings damaged. Heavy snowfall also caused traffic disruption in various parts of the country. Researchers in the Antarctic were visited by 8 curious penguins over the course of a day as they collected water samples in Newcomb Bay. One of the birds was filmed jumping into their rubber boats during the incident on Tuesday and looking at bags on board before jumping back into the sea. The researchers are part of a team working at Casey Research Station, a permanent outpost run by the Australian Antarctic Division. In recent weeks, Belgium has experienced a record absence of sunshine, a lack of light that can sometimes affect morale and even cause a depressive state. Here's more in the following report.
An endless layer of grey. December was Belgium's darkest month since 1934. The country's meteorological institute says there was barely more than 10 hours of sunshine during the whole month. The lack of light is hard for some to bear. This psychiatrist says it can even help cause depression.
Light plays an important role for human beings. When we expose ourselves to light in the morning, it inhibits the secretion of melatonin while favouring the production of hormones that will boost us and get us through the day, like cortisol. If we don't get enough light, we feel rather slow and tired, typical characteristics of the seasonal depression.
December was also unusually wet, with 26 days of rain, while thunderstorms were far more numerous than usual for the time of year, with 9 instead of 3. In Brussels, such bad weather is taking its toll.
When it's dark, I'm all tired. I'm really exhausted by the end of the day. So I have this little lamp. I use it when I'm studying. It gives me the boost I need.
When the weather's bad and you're outside, you're cold and wet and it's not great for your mood. You don't like getting up in the morning, you'd rather stay in bed. I think it's really time we had some sunshine.
Belgium was hit by Storm Eleanor in early January, and strong winds are expected over the next few days, meaning locals here will have to wait just a little longer for a chance to glimpse the sun.
Still to come in our news bulletin. Muscat Festival forms an economic and entertainment revenue to the Sultanate. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Italian Internazionale magazine praised the foreign policy of the Sultanate, describing it as a pioneering and quiet diplomacy. It also said that it plays a pivotal role in Gulf crises. This international magazine also talked about the geographical location, which has made the Sultanate a fundamental element in the Gulf strategy, pointing out to the Sultanate's well-balanced regional and international relations and its role in reducing crises being faced by the region. The magazine also highlighted some examples of regional crises in which the Sultanate had played an outstanding role, such as negotiations in 2015, which led to reducing international sanctions against Iran, the Sultanate's patronage of talks on conflict in Yemen, and its contribution to the release of a number of Western hostages. The Italian magazine concluded that the regional and international policy of the Sultanate embodies the clear vision of His Majesty the Sultan, who enjoys great respect and appreciation at Arab and international levels, pointing out to what has been achieved in the Sultanate of real and comprehensive development. Sustainable Energy Research Center at Sultan Qaboos University and Bahwan Cybertech Company signed a program for research cooperation to support the initiatives of the renewable energy in the Sultanate. The program will provide ways for cooperation in the fields of renewable energy, digital technologies, projects consulting, and feasibility study. The program also included preparing the next generation of the SQU graduates to keep up with the developments in the renewable energy markets. Within the existing cooperation between the government and private sector, and to enhance the partnership in the public and private sector, a cooperation agreement between the University of Oman and Oman Broadband Company was signed. Based on the agreement, the Broadband Company will provide the latest optical fiber networks for the university, as well as will provide communications and high-speed internet services for the students, researchers, and the residents of the university campus, which will contribute to enhance the digital infrastructure of the university. In a new achievement for equestrian sports in the Sultanate, the International Equestrian Federation approved show jumping contestants as international tournaments. It supervised the grand prize competition for show jumping, during which a number of Omani riders were qualified for the finals of the World Cup. Some 59 horse riders competed in this competition. The horse rider Sultan bin Hamoud Al-Tolki won the titles of categories A and B, and horse rider Khalid bin Hamoud Al-Saadi won the contest for category C. At the end of the event, the winners were honored along with the supervision committee from the International Equestrian Federation. The activities of the 21st Winter Camp for Scouts concluded at Sultan Qaboos Scout Camp in the Wilaya of Masana'a. Around 700 scouts and guides from various educational governorates in the Sultanate took part in the event. It was organized by the Directorate General of Scouts and Guides during the period from 13th to 19th of January. Meanwhile, a visiting Scouts and Guides delegation from Sri Lanka got acquainted with the Sultanate's experience in the field of Scouts and Guides. Muscat Festival formed an economic and entertainment revenue during its versions for the last years. Last year, the festival attracted more than 1 million visitors and contributed in achieving full occupancy for hotels in the Governorate of Muscat. At the same time, a number of economists and journalists witnessed the contribution of the festival in the national economy not as they expected. The festival is a source of income for a number of individuals and a destination for entertainment for families and children. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanates. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of South Sharqiya, Brahmi and Dhahra. Winds will be northwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Turkey Defense Minister outlines an offensive against a Kurdish enclave in Syria. A program for research cooperation to support the initiatives of the renewable energy in the Sultanate is signed. And the activities of the 21st Winter Camp for Scouts are concluded in the Wilaya of Musana'a. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.